We are back again with a brand new episode of Another 24. I am your extremely handsome host, Taurus Montez, and today I have a very special guest in the building. Now, this guest is an author, she's an entrepreneur, she's a very accomplished corporate professional, and she is here to tell us all about her life, her story, her passion, and her book. I have the one, the only, Miss Nakeita Stewart. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about the conversation.
Yeah, likewise. Now, first things first. I know you're coming from out of town. How's the traffic been treating you?
So I do not miss Atlanta traffic. So as I mentioned to you, I'm born and raised College Park, Georgia. So I'm a true Georgia peach. However, I'm so thankful because I live in Virginia right now, that I live where there's not a lot of traffic. Because it has been horrible.
Yeah,
and that's an understatement.
Right, and it's getting worse. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, there are a few things that brought you here today.
Yeah.
Number one, your upcoming book. That'll be released soon. But you are a very accomplished professional, as I've mentioned. So I want to hear a little bit about that journey. Now, I read your book.
Yeah.
Great book, by the way.
Thank you.
And you touch on your upbringing somewhat.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious to know what kind of person you were growing up. Because to be this organized and this high level of accomplishment, I imagine you as valedictorian, extracurricular activities. What was your upbringing like?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. So I was born and raised here in Atlanta, Georgia, specifically College Park. There's like College Park is not Atlanta, right? South Side. And I was raised in a single parent household. I was the only child for my first 10 years of life. So I was blessed to have, shout out to my mom, disabled veteran who was there for me every single day. Right. I call her my biggest cheerleader. And that was a blessing because things that she was the baby out of 12 kids.
Oh, wow.
And so if you could imagine with my grandmother, a lot of stuff she didn't get to do being the baby out of 12. And so a lot of that she poured into me at an early age. And I got a lot of my foundation from her and my grandmother as well. And so growing up, starting at the age of 3, I was in choir because you gotta go to church. I was in choir. I was in ballet. I did baton twirling. I was in softball at the time, and then I became a Girl Scout a little later. So I was involved in all of the things, and that matriculated throughout my upbringing. Right. I remember in high school I was a high school athlete. So I would play basketball, volleyball. I was in the marching band. I played the flute. I was a dancer. I was in ROTC. And at the time, that was just my life. I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed being diverse. I enjoyed being in an athletic, competitive environment. And it just, it felt good. It was just my life. And so it's interesting the pandemic really revealed some stuff because I would talk to friends during that time. I was like, have you seen this show? Have you ever saw this? Nope, my mom allowed me to watch 30 minutes of TV a week because I was just so involved. Right. But that was the foundation of who I have been able to become as an adult, where most of it is great, but also some of that is also taught me the power of being able to disconnect and being able to have that alone time and being able to rejuvenate. Where you don't have to be involved in everything because that's just who I was. And I know we'll probably get to this later, but it also led to, as I got older, some aspect of burnout because I was just so used to operating at a high level, being organized and on point at all times. And it was, again, I enjoyed my childhood, had a wonderful childhood. When I look back over it, I'm like, I don't know how she survived on really military income with 3 kids. So I have 2 younger brothers too. One's 27 and one's 22, so huge age gaps. But I don't see how she did it.
Right.
I don't. But we had a really good. We had a really good childhood.
Awesome. Yeah, I kind of gathered that from just your high level of, everything that you've accomplished. That doesn't just happen when you become an adult.
Yeah.
That's instilled in you from childhood and, throughout, from birth, really.
Yeah.
Then up throughout childhood. So, that tracks. And, one thing that, I know you're an HR professional.
Yes.
So I know that a lot of recruiters love to recruit athletes because athletes have this thing where they understand that the work that they put in, is directly correlated with, the amount of success that they may or may not have.
Yeah.
So you being a multi-talented athlete, I can see how that
how it transitioned in corporate America.
Right.
It did.
So, going through your story, of course, high achieving. You ended up working for AT&T.
Yes.
You became one of their top performing, probably the top performing leader in Miami.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what was it like through that period? Because I worked retail management for a long time. And
Let's talk about it.
Right. And I know that that's not easy.
Yeah.
Because you have to manage people. People have their own stories and all of these things. So how did you, number one, find your place in that ecosystem and then excel in that ecosystem?
I love that question. Shout out to all the retail people. Retail is not for the weak at all.
It's not.
So how did I find my way in that space?
And I know that wasn't on the list of questions.
No, this is good. I had to fight, literally. I was fortunate. My undergrad is from Spelman College, so the number one HBCU in the world. And right out of Spelman, I was able to get this job in AT&T and it was part of one of those retail leadership development programs. Right. And so that was a privilege in itself because I didn't have to start completely from the bottom. I went through these 6 months of intense training. I mean, they were judging us. They were ranking us. I talk about this in the book. I remember getting a conversation with my leader at the time, and they rate every day you were ranked.
Right.
1 through, I think it was 15 of us. He said, Nakeita, you're number 11 out of 15. What? Wait a minute, clutch my pearls. What in the world? And it was very devastating for me because here I am, have had much success in my life. Before that, I actually did HR for McDonald's, and I also did some time in Australia doing HR work at the Australian National University. So, I wasn't new to this corporate environment, but this is sales leadership, which is different. As you mentioned, retail is different. And at that point, I thought, maybe this isn't for me. Because if I can't be successful against my own peers here, how am I going to be able to lead a multi-million-dollar company? And that's what it was. They give you a multi-million-dollar business. And so I learned a lot in that space. I learned to tap into who I was and really figure out what that was and there was a reason why I was in the room.
Right.
Any room I'm in, there's a reason why I'm in the room. And that's for anybody out there. If God places you in a space, there's a reason. Walk in it and show up. Amen. And so once I had some come to Jesus, all that stuff, pep talk, I finished. I didn't finish top of the class, but I finished. And that program allowed me a lot of different opportunities. So one of the opportunities was you had to be a frontline seller. And so I at the time we were in Atlanta, they flew us to Miami. So at that time I ended up creating a team that would help me be successful, but I had to sell. And I was down there doing iPhone lunch. And if anybody knows, AT&T had exclusivity with iPhone. So I was down there just trying to figure it out, trying to do the best. And I had to lean on my team and lean on and stay up late, come in early, really grind so that I could prepare to be the best. And once the program was over and they sent me out to run the stores, I really learned that my superpower was empowering other people and motivating and developing others to be successful. And I didn't have to have all the answers. I didn't have to be the number one salesperson to lead a team to success. And so very quickly, I moved up. I had multiple stores I was responsible with. I tapped into networking, the art of networking. I teach that to my clients. Like, there is an art in networking. Because I was successful in networking, I was able to move through the ranks quickly. At 22, they gave me $3.5 million business to run. I led multiple teams in Miami, multiple stores, ended up number one with an all-expense-paid trip to Vegas, which was nice. And I got a chance to network with the CEO and all these different higher-up people, and they remembered my name. I made sure in these rooms I stood out. And so through performing, and I talk about the pie effect. I didn't come up with it, but it was something I learned in the program. There's 3 aspects to getting promoting and getting your stuff out there, and it's PIE, P-I-E. So performance is one. You got to do your job, because if you don't do your job, it don't matter. Right? And then it's the I, which is your influence that you have over other people, or your image that people see you as. And then it's the E, exposure. And exposure is do other people know you? Because a lot of times we grind, we put our head down, we do all these things, and it's like, but who knows it?
Right.
And so if you don't have all three aspects of pie, it's going to be hard for you to be promoted. For example, you can have the performance, but if your image is trash, what are you exposing? Trash. Okay?
Right.
Trash. And so that is what I learned early in the career, and it helped me to matriculate. And I literally was promoted 4 times, which never happens, in 6 years, and became an executive at the age of 28, leading multiple state teams, 300 plus people in the company because of course, my grind, my hustle, but it really came down to those 3 things: performing, making sure my image was good, effectively networking, not just because you want something, but because it's mutually beneficial to not just yourself, but the company as a whole. And so it was hard. Yeah. And the last thing I forgot to mention, it was in a union environment. So here I am, fresh out of college, you know, leading South Beach teams in Miami, enjoying myself, and I have union representatives that reported to me. So not only was I playing manager leader role, I also was being a representative to try to make sure fairness was done correctly, because it's a union environment where you can have grievances on you left and right, and now you're in union meetings with union stewards because things aren't happening. So I had to grow up quickly, and I did, and I fought, and it really catapulted how I look at leadership as a whole. Now that I'm way past that phase in my life.
Yeah, it seems like that time in your life was, you know, number one, sounds like it was very taxing, but also very rewarding.
Yes.
Not only, I'm sure, monetarily, but also in the skills that you gained and the knowledge that you gained and those things. So fast forward a little bit, now you are a consultant for entrepreneurs. You pretty much help entrepreneurs and businesses unlock more revenue, unlock, you know, more potential, and really unlock success, I would say. So when you look back at that time from AT&T to what you do now, what do you think are some of the biggest experiences that you had that help you with what you do now?
Exposure to uncomfortability. That really helped unlock me to being able to help business owners in the way that I do now. Right. So I mentioned earlier, I spent time in Australia. I got stories for glory. So, you know, slide in my DMs. We can talk about that. I won't go into detail because of the sake of time, but like being in Australia during the Bush administration, with tensions high and just perception of culture in America and businesses there. One story I was told, I tell people this all the time. I was studying and doing some work for the institution, and I had someone come up to me and say, you know, I've never seen anyone like you before. You know, you're not American, you're not African. What are you? And that just took me back, like, wow. But I also was able to tap into another aspect in Australia where I did research on workplace discrimination. I did research on how businesses operate effectively or ineffectively. And I would get comments from different people like, oh, that's good for someone like you because the standard isn't as high, or why are you working so hard? You're African American. It's not really that deep. You should be operating lower than what you are. Just go home. Don't worry about it. I even had, because I worked at Subway, I worked at other places while I was there too, customers come to me and say, how do you feel about leaving your child in America? I don't have a child. I'm only, at that time, I think I was 20 or something. Oh, I thought everyone like you. Oh, wow. Have children at a young age. And it wasn't, and I had to learn, even I had someone put Dr. Martin Luther King on my door because they wanted me to feel at home, right? So having these uncomfortable experiences, being able to look at myself to say, okay, what are the areas I need to grow in? How do I operate at that level so I can help other businesses as well, has really helped. I got my executive MBA for that reason. Became valedictorian, my number one in my executive MBA class at Kennesaw State University. But I wasn't comfortable with finance. I wasn't comfortable in these areas. And I'm like, you know what? I need to learn this. Let me get my MBA. Let me learn these things. Let me, and in corporate, I would raise my hand for the jobs or the roles that other people wouldn't, or some place that would make me feel uncomfortable. So if marketing wanted to have someone do a stretch assignment, sign me up. I'll get on that. And all of these little micro uncomfortable experiences really stretched me so that now when I help business owners and leaders in Fortune 500 companies, because I still coach and develop executives as well, I'm able to tap into the uncomfortability moments that allow me to grow and stretch so that I can help them be more successful.
Got you. Now, when you think back on those experiences in Australia, about the interactions you had with these people that were not professional.
No.
I mean, I guess my question to you is, would you call that racism or just ignorance?
Let's talk about it.
What would you call that?
At an initial glimpse, it was, for me, the knee-jerk reaction of, I know they didn't. Racism. Racism is what came to mind initially, but this moment really opened my eyes to stereotypes and how they impacted, because these individuals had seen certain things on social media, not social media at that time, but because I Love You New York, I know you remember that show, was out.
Right.
And they were like, oh, you're like, I love New York. I'm like, no, not everybody's like that. And I remember going to a comedy show in Australia, and the lady went and changed clothes and put a shirt on that said, down for my N-word. And she was so happy about it. She came to me and was like, look, I know you're from America. Look at my shirt. Like, and I just remember thinking, ma'am, that's not appropriate. And I had to I educated her. And so, again, my knee-jerk reaction was, whoa, racism. And some of it may have been, I don't know, but the grace in me, the educator in me, the HR professional in me was like, let me teach them something. Let this be a teachable moment. And it was for that lady. She felt horrible. She said, I actually changed to wear this for you because I saw you in the crowd. And it was a moment where I said, that word is not acceptable. And these are the reasons why. And she changed. She was good. And we were fine. But it's moments like that just opened my eyes to maybe it's not, maybe it's just an education, a stereotype.
They just don't know.
Yeah. It's like, that's in a song, so why can't I wear it?
Right.
There's a lot of reasons why you can't wear it. Come here, come sit down so we can talk about it.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's all the way on the other side of the world.
Yep.
They have a different relationship to culture and, people in general.
Yeah.
So some things they just don't know. And like you did, I think you did the right thing, which is to educate them respectfully.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, now they know better, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, and let me say this, too. I experienced similar, more racism directly in the States.
Okay.
So, I know we're talking about Australia, right?
Yeah.
I know it's Australia, but, I remember being, because in my role, I traveled to stores very often in rural America, depending on where my territory was. And I remember several situations, but one in particular where I was in the store, my team, I've been blessed to have amazing teams when I led sales retail teams. And I remember going to one location, was about 3-4 hours away from my home base, and entering the store, talking to the team, high-fiving them. And it was a customer upset. And the customer came in and was like, I want to speak to your manager. And it was like, okay. And of course, I'm 3 levels above the manager, so they're not going to come to me, right? Like, they're going to go to the actual store manager, and then there's an area manager, and then you get to me. And so eventually, one of the reps was like, well, we actually have our regional manager here that's over all of the states, here, and here she is. I remember the customer saying, there's no way. There's no way. That's not the leader. I don't want to talk to this person. Why are you going to listen to her for any advice? She don't know what she's talking about. And I just remember thinking, and again, I had great team members, so I didn't even have to respond. My team jumped in right away and defended me. But they were surprised because, again, this is certain parts of rural America, and they're just like, I didn't know this is what welcome to sometimes my world. It's not, had wonderful experiences too, right? But
for sure.
I didn't want to just say it's only overseas because I've experienced some of that. Being the high level that I was in when I was in corporate America, it was just, I'm used to it. It was fine. I just rolled with it and learned and kept it moving.
Right. Well, yeah, in the States, it ain't no excuse. Y'all know y'all doing it on purpose now. In Australia, y'all might get a little grace.
Yeah.
Here, All right, so the work that you do with entrepreneurs and businesses.
Yep.
700 million in revenue impact. That is an outrageous number. That's almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
So first of all, I guess I have two questions about that.
Okay.
Number one, how does it feel to know that you can create that type of impact for the people that need it?
Mm-hmm.
And number two, what is one decision that you think made that possible?
It feels amazing to know the type of impact I've had in people's lives, because it's just not the number. It's about purpose for me. As equally it is about helping people move into their destiny, be able to pay for groceries, food, take their kids to college, those things. And so it feels incredible that I'm walking in God's calling for me. And that's what it's about. We're all here for a purpose. Whether you operate in it or not is up to you. I'm choosing to do it. And to be honest, I didn't even know the real impact I had until I had to step away from my corporate world, and I did the math. Even my own, because I have my own business too. I'm like, wow, I've generated all this money passively, and I didn't even know it because I'm just grinding, doing stuff. And so it feels good. The one decision that I made, or I feel entrepreneurs or business owners need to make in order to really realize their potential financially, is building the right team.
Okay.
It wasn't until I stopped trying to be everything, and it's so funny because this week alone, I've had 3 of my clients that I'm talking to, and they are literally saying the same thing. Like, I got to get social media. I got to do that. At what point are you going to release some of that to give it to someone that can help you be more impactful so you can drive more revenue? Because as a CEO, a founder, a business leader, your job is to be the strategist, is to be that CEO, not to be an employee of your own business. That's how you burn out. And so the one decision that helped me, and what I tell founders to do, is you got to create the right people. It wasn't until I had the right people in place that I was able to take vacations.
I know that's right.
I still would bring my laptop just in case, but I was able to disconnect, take vacations. And typically, once I got the right people in place, my team would perform better when I was away.
Right.
It's like, mommy's not here, so we could act up and do good and not worry about stuff. And so that is when I knew, like, true purpose was realized. I was able to help other people, but it wasn't until I got people's mindset to say, what are some things that I can take off my plate so I can really truly be the leader I need to be, so that I can be more effective and bring more strategic clients in, bring more higher funding in. And it is the same story over, and whether it's, I had a client that their business brings in $3-4 million a year. They're trying to expand. And I told her, I said, what are you going to expand if your house is not in order first? You got to get the right people in place first. I can't help you expand right now until you do that. Right. And she was like, you're right. And it wasn't until she took that, we worked the plan, and now her business is booming like never before. But until you do that, it's going to be hard for you to break. Even your first million. I like multiple millions, right? But even your first million, it's going to be hard to do that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, building the team, I mean, obviously, you can go further together.
Yeah.
So, I think...
The right team.
The right team. Absolutely, yeah, because the right team.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that's hard because when you think about being an entrepreneur, at least in the beginning, being a rookie entrepreneur, you think, okay, I'm in control. You know what I mean? I'm in control. It's my responsibility to build this thing. I don't trust anybody else to see my vision and to execute my vision. Yeah. So it's hard to relinquish some of that control, but you actually are putting yourself at an advantage because, like you say, you're taking stuff off your plate. You have more time to think. You have more brain bandwidth to see where there are opportunities for your business to grow.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So that is, so that's, y'all take note of that. Build the right team.
Check.
So you
and I help people build their team, right? Like if they're, I'm not just gonna be like, yo, go build it and not show them how. And so when they come to me, we do an analysis and say, okay, who's your financial person, right? Like you shouldn't be doing all of your you need to know your numbers, but how do you do that?
Right.
Are you handling all your social media? Okay, can you outload that? College students, I help them build that so that it's not overwhelming for them. but you got to get to that point where you're ready to relinquish it, to your point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you have, a lot of experience in many different areas of business, sales, HR, operations. But sometimes you can have these things in place and business it still isn't growing. So when you take a deeper look into these different arms of business, which department do you think is the most, I would say, dishonest about why things are not growing, why business and revenue isn't expanding?
So, disclaimer. I've been responsible for HR, sales, and operations. And so when I look at those three departments, which ones are being the most dishonest? At some point, all of them. All of them. I know it's like answer D, right? No, but when I look at who directly is responsible for sales, it's the sales teams, right? Like they're directly responsible for it. The other two departments, HR and operations, support the mission of the sales, right? And so if there's stuff that's happening, I know most people are like, HR is always lying. HR's role is to protect the business first, or else we all not going to have a job, right? And so they have to sometimes withhold information. It's just part of the job, right? If you knew, like a government, if you knew everything that was going on, we probably would lose our mind, right? And so that's HR being that, okay, I got to withhold stuff, right? And I would tell my teams that, hey, like there's stuff happening. I can't tell you, and I'm at liberty to, but just know this is what we need to do, right? From an operations perspective, they're the ones that keep things together. But I also think in unhealthy cultures, everyone points the finger at other people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the sales teams. They need to do this. It's the operations team. HR, they trying to fire us. And those are unhealthy culture, which ultimately is going to impact business as a whole. But as I mentioned before, sales is responsible for sales. And so because I spent a lot of my career in sales, I can say my teams will be dishonest, right? Again, I'm higher up, and so we would be on strategy calls, and I'll say, hey, are we doing these things? Yeah, we're doing them. So I do pop-up visits, and like, okay, let's talk about it. Are we doing them? And I'll literally see them not doing it. That's why sales aren't happening. You could blame marketing for not getting them door swings in because we need more money in marketing. You can blame finance. You can blame HR. But at the end of the day, you're the one in front of customers. You're the one picking up the fall doing cold calls and not doing the strategy that was set in place. And I would tell my teams, until you do everything that you're supposed to do, don't come to me with anything else. But then behind the scenes, I would go to be like, hey, can we get a little more money here? Can we get, because that's my job as a leader to advocate. But I think at some point they all withhold information. I would say that ultimately sales teams are responsible for sales. It is what it is.
All right, sales. I do want to mention one thing. I got a little bit of a maybe it's not the sales.
Yeah.
Because quick story about me. I had left. I had worked for Sherwin-Williams for a long time, so I did their management training program, similar to like I'm sure what AT&T has.
Yep.
But I actually left Sherwin to go and work for a startup, which probably shouldn't have did that anyway.
You learned.
Yeah, I got laid off from that job. But anyway, so I went to work for this startup, and I was on the sales team. Okay, so this company was very cash strapped. It was very bare bones. It was like maybe 10 people that worked for the company, and I'm there for like maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. There's only 3 of us on the sales team. So after 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half, they throw me out there to the wolves. Like, hey, go do. I'm like, y'all didn't even train me. I got the script, but I'm like, there's so many different variables to each sale that not every sale is exactly the same.
Yep.
And so I feel like in that case, it wasn't on the sales team. I wasn't trained properly. So
that's true.
So
that's a leadership issue.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I just wanted to throw that out there. So just to throw some grace to the sales team.
Yeah, no. And I see that time and time again. And as an HR, so I'm putting my HR hat on now, that is our job to say, okay, let me see the training and development that you did with this employee.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the gap. Is it a skill issue? Is it like they don't know what they're doing? Or is it a will? They're just not willing to do it. And if skill versus will, then we go in that direction. But it sounds like you got a leadership issue. So yeah, go ahead. Yep. You deserve that.
Yeah, shout out to them.
It's not you, it's them.
Exactly. 'Cause I definitely got the will. I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
I still did pretty well, but I could have done a lot better had I had the tools, All right. So, Yes, I want to talk a little bit about the book.
Okay.
I thought the book was excellent. I thought the concepts and the strategies and the different tools that you give the reader are very easy to understand.
Thank you.
You break it down in the simplest terms you can. But not only that, it's a very practical book. It's like, hey, do this. This is the steps that you do. If you do this, you will be successful. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated that reading the book. It wasn't all woo-woo philosophy.
Yeah.
It was actually practicality. So how did you settle on, I'm sure you could have picked from 10,000 different lessons. How did you settle on the ones that actually are in the book?
I saw a statistic that shook me last year. Mm-hmm. It really shook me to my core and shocked me. So I said shock. Mm-hmm. And it said that 95% of women-owned businesses fail. Mm-hmm. 50% of businesses fail within the first year minimally, but women-owned businesses were failing at a rapid rate. And I had to ask myself, why? When I look at how my ecosystem was set up, again, I'm an entrepreneur, I own real estate, all of those things, Airbnbs. Then I look at people around me. Mm-hmm. Then I look at, in my corporate world, the businesses I was blessed to help. And it came down to several things, right? But the main thing is that there's a disproportion of women in business that know how to sell effectively. Right, and I list all the reasons why. Right, one of the reasons is typically statistics show that sales is a man thing. You're not taught sales in school, right? Like you don't go to, I'm going to take the sales class. No, you're just not. You have to learn it. So there's all these different things that I list in the book on why women-owned businesses have set to fail and why sales is a struggle. And so because of my capacity, I'm only one person, right? I do conferences, I do public speaking events, all of those. But as far as my bandwidth, I wanted to create something that someone that's on a budget could take and still learn and didn't have to pay thousands of dollars to get my help or whatever, or hundreds of dollars to get my help, but could take this book and outline what they need and implement them immediately. And so based off of the lack of women in business, the lack of funding for women, most women self-fund. I mean, I self-funded my own business. It's still to this day, I haven't taken out a loan. Not that I couldn't, I just, you just try to grind and do it. And this other number that was shocking, women-owned businesses make on average about $150,000 on average a year versus the counterpart at almost $500,000, like $400,000 what men business revenue generated. Mm-hmm. There's a gap there. Yeah. And so this book, of course, is not going to be the end all be all. I'm going to do other books as well, and it's not going to give you everything you need to know, but it's a starting point to help close that gap so you can get to the point towards the end of the book where I talk about how do you now scale your business because you're successful. So that's how I came up with it. And based off of all the entrepreneurs I were talking to and business owners, they were lacking in that area the most.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of which, speaking to a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yep.
When you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs about their struggles in business, what is it that they are telling you is the issue versus what is actually the issues that may be, hindering them from achieving success, you think?
What they're telling me is, I need more customers. I need more money. I need more customers. I get that. But you got to look at your systems. You got to look at what's going on behind the scenes first before you want to say, I need more customers. And so what I notice is that many of them are making excuses and they stop listening to the most important revenue driver, which is their customer base. They go based off of, I'm good at this, or I enjoy this. But what's the community telling you? Right. Like, what are your customers saying? When is the last time you tapped into that? I'll give you an example of a hairdresser that I'm currently helping. This person wants to give products out. It's a really good hairdresser, been successful, but their products are on the shelf and can't get it out. And the first thing I asked, like, what products are you trying to get out? What are you trying to do? And she's like, I just need to I get it on social media, get it out there. But what are your clients telling you? Crickets. And so I said, okay, do this. For the next 60 days, blank, I need you to literally have conversations with your customers and just have casual conversation and write down what they're saying, their biggest issue and challenges with their hair. Once she did that, it opened her eyes to like, oh, I'm thinking they need this product, but they actually need this, and I can be the one that provide it. And so the main thing that I see with entrepreneurs to round it off is they're thinking this, they need more customers, they need more money, they need more this. Yes, we all want that, right? However, you got to start and listening to your customers and doing the research first, because if you get stuff out there and people don't want it, it don't matter what it is. It's not going to sell.
Right. Right. Okay. So listening to the people that are actually going to buy from you,
Yep.
you definitely need to know what it is they're thinking, their opinions, and they're, I guess, asking them that really reveals the things that will make them give you money.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, okay, tell me what I need to do so you can give me money.
Yes.
That's basically.
Yep, it is.
bare bones.
And for me, because I am a believer, I have to put this out there. I tell my clients, you need to go to God about it. Go connect to a higher authority, really sit at his feet and be like, what is it, or she, some people think it around, what is it that truly I'm supposed to be doing to make this business successful?
Right.
And I've 10 times out of 10, the advice that I give in that aspect, when they truly do it, their business takes off to another level, because yes, you're listening to customers, all of that, but then you're also connected to a higher power that's allowing you to be in alignment with what is needed right now.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. The higher power piece, you cannot ignore that.
No,
you can't.
that's key.
Right, right. So if you take just, inventory of some of the businesses that you've helped and that are, that needed your help, what do you think are like maybe 2 or 3 red flags that just scream out at you like, yeah, this is not going to work. This business is going to struggle?
One red flag is they don't know their business. And I see it too often, and I'll give you an example in a minute when I was in corporate, but I see it too often. Business owners are really good at their craft, but they're not good at business. That's totally 2 different things. But that's also where you need to understand your gap to tap into someone like me or whoever that are business strategists to help you. Because having a skill set is great. Like, I don't know how to be a great attorney, but I helped an attorney because I know the strategy. I don't know how to be a great hairdresser, but I help because of strategy. And so when you don't know how to effectively operate your business, it will fail. Here's the example. I was working in one of my corporate jobs where I was helping multi-million-dollar business owner. He was a phenomenal leader. 50, 60 employees under him. We took him from, 4 locations to a whole lot more, right? And unfortunately, because of mismanagement, like stuff, I don't want to go into details, he's no longer in business. And it is hard.
Dang.
Because everybody loved him. Awesome, award-winning, all of us, number 1, all of that. But once my team and I got into the trenches and was like, wait, where's this? Where's the oh, I'm going to figure it out. And it was too late. And so if business owners don't know their business, it is only a matter of time. And it's sad. And I've seen it and that's just one example. I've seen it time and time and time again. I think about like the restaurants down the street that everybody love, all of a sudden out of business. Like and I love talking to business owners when I go to places out, like they're being everything for their business and not operating it like a business. And so that's a red flag. And then I would say the other red flag is, well, this is how we used to do it, or this is what I think is best. Those who are not open to development, those that are just steadfast on, well, this is what I seen work, and times are different. Times are different.
Absolutely.
Like, social media has changed the game in so many aspects alone. Yes, word of mouth is great, and a lot of businesses can thrive off of that, but you gotta be able to adjust and adapt with the time. Even myself, I was one before my full 100% entrepreneur journey I'm on now. I would post once a year for my birthday. That's it. Of course, I strove, but I had to adjust my mindset. I had to network differently. I had to be out in these spaces so that I could be successful. And until you get out of I don't like doing this, or I don't feel comfortable doing that, until you get out of your comfort zone, there's not going to be true growth there. It just won't. So those are some red flags where I'm like, I can give you advice, but it's on you if you do something with it.
Okay. All right. Dang man, this time is going so fast. But
This is
I,
good.
I have a few. I would say spiritual or philosophical
Okay.
questions
Talk
for
to me.
you. Just being an entrepreneur myself,
Yeah.
and really connecting with what you're saying because it feels like we run into the same thing. I run into the same things too. But number one, you spoke a few times about finding your purpose
Mm-hmm.
and why that's so important for the business owner, really anybody in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
But what do you think are some of the tactics that one can use to really discover what their purpose is?
That's good. I'll go with the first one that I have in the book and then talk about some other stuff. In the book, I have like a worksheet page in there that talks about how do you know what type of business you should run and who do you sell to. And so there's a couple of questions in there that says like, I help who do what for what purpose. And you just spend time filling that out. Like, who do I help? What's my clientele? One of the really good YouTube videos that I liked that I learned when I was getting my MBA was Simon's The Circle of Why. And it talks about Apple and how Apple doesn't sell products, they sell the why. They sell the emotional connection. And my undergrad's in psychology, so like that, anything, numbers, stats, psychology just gets me. But that's how you have to look at your business. What is the why? Like, why do people need your product? And who is that demographic, or who are the demographics that need it? Because you can't be everything to everybody. Apple traditionally doesn't go for the really, really cheap, really, like, their products are higher quality for a reason. That is their demographic, right? And so until you tap into really sitting at it and understanding what's my product, what's my skill, what is it that I'm trying to do, why does it even matter, who am I trying to help, then it's going to be hard for you to tap into that. And then the other thing is, we're going to go here, I fast. I fast, I pray, and I tell, again, my clients to do the same.
It works.
That's the language I speak, right? And so I can do all the things that all these famous people, including myself, all we tell you to do. But if you're not seeking God's authority, seeking God's guidance in it, for me at least, I found out I worked harder and I failed. And so I do this every year as a tactical thing. At the end, the beginning of the year, I do a sabbatical. Because I have a 4-year-old son, I don't do it for a long time, right? But I'll spend 2 days off the grid, turn my phone off, just journal, spend time in nature, whatever the case might be, to just reset to say, okay, God, for this season, because purposes shift, right? Your purpose in this season might be different than your purpose when you were in college.
Thanks.
And so that sabbatical that I do every year has been really good for me, and what I tell my clients to do to help just reset your nervous system, reset the connection with God, to say, okay, God, what am I operating in this next season, and how does my business or my career, for those who are still in their 9 to 5, because like I told you, I was an executive and I still had my business on the side. What is it that I'm supposed to do in this season? Because God knows the future. He knows what the needs are in the future. And so how do I align myself with that? So those are the two real tactical. So get the book so you can do the worksheet, but then also tapping into a higher power, fasting and praying and letting God just reveal it to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to kind of piggyback on what you said about Apple, because I literally just finished Steve Jobs' book again.
Oh, good.
Which he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out there.
Yeah.
But he purposely made the decision to make Apple products closed source. So they're not open source like Android. You can't just put your own pieces in there. You can't even open the phone and change the battery. And he did that because he was, like you said, marketing to a specific type of person. Like, he knew who his products were for, what they were going to use it for, and why they were going to use it.
Yeah.
So you are absolutely right about that. Next thing. One thing that you also touched on in the book is, and I've seen this a lot too, I've had my troubles with this, which is charging what you're worth. Knowing your worth. Knowing your worth.
Yes.
Now, I guess I have 2 questions about that.
Okay.
Number one, why is it so difficult to charge what you're worth and know what you're worth? And then number 2, what are some of the mindset shifts that need to happen to get you out of working against yourself essentially.
Yeah. And when I say this next statement, I say it under the impression of you have to understand what type of business you're in and what is the norm, right? So I'm going to start with why is it so difficult for people to charge their worth? It is knowledge at first. People, a lot of times, and even I did when I first became an entrepreneur, I would charge dollar for dollar. Like, okay, these many hours, this is how much I'm going to charge. But it's not dollar for dollar in a lot of spaces, especially when you think about what I do, which is consulting and business strategy work. And so when you think about what you charge, it needs to encompass my degrees, right? I had to get this knowledge. It needs to encompass any certifications that I've had. It needs to encompass the experience I have, like leading billion-dollar companies, right? Fortune 500 companies, several of them. It also needs to go into my brain power, my what I bring to the table, any material things. So, and I break down depending on your business in the book. These are the cost of goods sold, right? Yep. COGS, cost of goods sold. These are the things you have to look at when you think about pricing. And if you have a physical product, typically even Shark Tank, that used to be one of my really fast shows, even they say that you need to be at least 70, 80% markup on whatever it is. And so I think starting with the knowledge there, first of all, is important, and aligning it with your clientele and customer base, right? If you are, I'm going to say coaching because I see this all the time. If you're a coach and you're helping businesses or helping an individual want to get a promotion in a job, I mean, that promotion is going to be $50,000 pay increase or $20,000 pay increase. Right. You charge $300 for a session, that ain't going to cut it. And it shouldn't. You're lowballing yourself. Because this person, if you're effective, is going to get a job making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 more, then that's not going to cut. And so it wasn't until I saw it work for myself that I became a believer. Years ago when I had my first client, I was talking to a mentor of mine about what all this client needed, and they were like, oh, minimally $10,000 a month, minimally, based off of what you're doing. I'm like, lo and behold, that's what she was willing to pay, right? I stopped looking at myself dollar for dollar and started looking at the ideal client, who I truly want to serve, and my bandwidth, because I see this all the time too. When you lowball yourself, you burn out quicker. Yeah. Because more and more people are going to be like, yep, I'll do a session with you, and now you're overworking yourself.
And the people who pay the least are the most headache.
Yeah, typically that, yeah. And so because of that, again, that's why I preface this to say, know your clientele, because everybody don't need to be charging $50,000 and whatever, if that's not what you're called to do. There's a demographic for the lower ball too. That's why you have, I'm gonna talk about telecommunication because I work for, but that's why you have the Metro PCS and the more cost friendly versus Verizon or these other big time that spend a little bit more money based off of where you are in the space. And so I think that is because people don't have the knowledge to know what they truly should be charging. They might not believe anybody will pay that, because I didn't at first. But then I look back on them, I was like, why wouldn't I? Look at all the stuff that I bring to the table, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so until you really tap into that, I think it's a challenge for people to understand, like, okay, but it all coincides with knowing your purpose, knowing your clientele, and then charging appropriately.
All right. So there y'all go. Raise your prices immediately.
Yeah, I didn't say that. Know what you are first, and then because I see that too often. People burn out because they're charging not enough.
Right. And speaking of burnout, can you educate us on the bounds method?
Yeah. I experience in my line of work burnout for myself, but I would see team members just take leave of absence. Entrepreneurs successful, and then all of a sudden off the map, and I start trying to wonder, like, why. And this quote the Holy Spirit came so vivid to me. Burnout looks like success until it doesn't. And so I've burned out twice in my career. That's my vulnerability. And I didn't see it coming. I was number one multiple times, even on a director, executive level. My team twice. I went to Mexico, all these places, just doing well. You know, new mom, traveling, doing all the stuff. And then my body was like, "Oh no, ma'am, come sit down right here." And I didn't see it coming both times. I was hospitalized, all of those things, and it made me sit and think like, God, how did I get here? Because remember, we talked earlier about my life growing up. I was used to doing this, doing that, running, and it was nothing for me. But now I'm older, and after you push out a child, like it's just your body's not. It's just not the same. Just the world is not the same for you. But I was still operating at a high level, and so I wanted to make it very plain, the bond method, so that it's sort of like boundaries, but I didn't want to put boundaries, but the bound method, so that any entrepreneurs, I know this is for women, but any entrepreneur can have boundaries and not feel bad about it. Because once you set these boundaries, then you're able to train other people and they respect it, right? And so some of it, not to go into all the steps, but some of it is you need to determine when you at work. So for me, a new boundary of mine, because I was working more being an entrepreneur than I was in a corporate sometimes, I'm like, I don't work on Fridays. I don't take, unless I have to for whatever reason. Fridays is, nope, it's my relaxed day. I'm preparing for the weekend because I'm on full-time mom mode on the weekend. So it's just like, Fridays I don't do it. And I've trained my assistant. She knows, they know, like, Fridays rest. Now I'll do lunch dates with friends or, those type of things to balance it. But that's one boundary for me. But so in the book, it talks about when do you want to work, when do you not want to work. You need to communicate that. The bound method also is setting up a team in place so that they can help facilitate for you as well. But then it's also like scheduling time for yourself and sticking to it. Because I would schedule it. Right. I would schedule it, but then I'd be like, I can move it here. Nope. No. And it could be as simple as turning your phone off for an hour a day and just going outside to be. Those things are extremely important for yourself to make sure you don't burn out, because it's a scary feeling being in the hospital and they're looking at you like, you got neurological stuff going on, but we don't know what's, and so that's a scary feeling. And so having these boundaries, especially as entrepreneurs, because it's all a lot on you, you got to do that. And you're better for it. You're normally rejuvenated, refreshed when you come back stronger.
Right. All right. Yeah, burnout now. Burnout is real.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so I want to, we talked about some pretty heavy things.
Yep.
Some very, very practical and very educational things. But I kind of want to lighten things up a little bit before we get up out of here. So I'm going to name two different things, and you got to choose one.
Okay.
All right? Instantly. No thinking too much, all right?
Shoot. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. All right. $50K a year with no stress, or $500K a year with constant pressure?
$50K a year with no stress.
It's not worth it, huh?
No, it's not. And you see all these celebrities, people with all this money commit suicide, whatever. Stress it's not worth it. It ain't.
Okay.
You got one temple. Give me $50K.
All right. Sales skill or operational excellence?
Operational excellence.
Okay.
Operational excellence. You can teach sales skills, but that operational excellence is the foundation to help sales be what they are.
Gotcha.
That's good. Right. That's a good question.
All right. One high ticket client or 20 low ticket clients?
One high ticket.
One high ticket?
One high ticket.
Okay.
Give me that.
All right.
Because I can pour into them. I could be more impactful. If they're high ticket, they're probably having more of an impact too as well. Right. Not that I'm against the low ticket, right? But no, give me that one high ticket.
All right. Fast growth or sustainable growth?
Sustainable growth.
Even if you are starting at the ground level?
Yes, sustainable growth. Because what they say, what comes up fast sometimes comes down even quicker. So, and if you go up fast, a lot of times you haven't created that foundation to stay up there. So yeah, give me that gradual, sustainable growth.
Got it. All right. More leads or better conversion rates?
Better conversion rates.
But more leads can teach you a lot about your sales process, right?
Yeah, more leads can, but if they're not the right leads, they're a waste of time.
That's a fact.
So give me my conversion rates.
All right. Hiring fast or hiring slow?
Hiring slow.
Hiring slow?
You see, time and time again, if you hire fast and you hire wrong, you'll be right back in that situation. In my old world, it cost us at least $42,000 to hire somebody.
Wow.
So to hire them, take them through the process, and then they're not a good fit, then you right back where you are before. So yeah, give me that slow. It hurts the business though, right? Because you're short staff and all of that, but hire slow. Hire right.
All right. Which way are we going? We trust in our gut or we trust in the data?
Ooh, that's a good one. That one stumped me. I want to know what people think in the chat before I answer this one.
There's no wrong answer.
I'm going to go with trust the data.
Trust the data.
Although the data tells a story, I'm going to trust the data because it's, it's black and white. Sometimes your gut can steer you wrong.
Really?
It can. Sometimes it can because the Bible talks about this. Our feelings will lead us astray. So yeah, I'm gonna trust the data, and that be the building point for whatever we need to do moving on. That was a good one. That one.
All right, confidence or competence?
These are some good ones.
Confidence can take you a long way.
Yeah, but if you ain't confident, I mean, confidence can take you a long way. But if you're not competent, you're gonna get exposed real quick. So I'm gonna say competent.
Competent?
Yeah, because you get exposed. It goes back to that pie analogy I talked about. Because you can be confident, and we see leaders all the time confident, but then you look back and like, they don't know what they're talking about. They're not competent at all, and then it loses credibility. So I'm going to say competent.
Okay. All right, learn from failure or avoid failure?
Oh, learn from it. I embrace it. And it's not failure. It's a lesson.
Okay.
And it all works out for our good.
All right. Discipline or motivation?
Discipline.
Okay. I figured you would say that.
Discipline.
Sound about right? About right?
Discipline.
All right. Fire fast or coach longer?
Oof. I just had some flashbacks. No. Fire fast or coach longer? I'm a believer in coaching and developing first.
Okay.
But once we figure out that it ain't, get them out. Next. But yeah, I'm believing in coaching.
All right. So be liked or be respected?
Respected.
Okay.
If you're respected, typically what I've seen is the like and come afterwards.
Okay. All right. Play it safe or take the risk?
In this season in my life, I'm taking risks.
Okay.
I'm taking risks.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. These are like personal ones. So
okay.
Do you like early mornings or you like late nights? Because it depends, huh?
It does depend. If I'm talking about work, early mornings because I can get stuff done. Right. If I'm talking about personal, let me sleep in. Yeah. I need my sleep. I'll stay up late, but let me sleep in.
All right. Routine or flexibility?
I need flexibility.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because every day is probably different for you.
It is. Yeah, I need flexibility.
All right. Mentor or self-taught?
Mentor
all the way.
I've gone farther with the amazing mentors I've had in my life. So yes, mentor.
Okay. And that doesn't have to be in person. It could be virtual or it could be through YouTube videos, that kind of thing. Right?
Yep. YouTube videos. Like, I know your whole platform is mentoring technically, but yeah, whether it's a book, a podcast, YouTube, or, someone you meet at a networking event, right. My major mentor that helped me navigate early in my career, I'm still cool with him. He's retired from AT&T now, but I'm still reaching out. But he still mentors me. How you doing? What's going on? Because you go a lot farther because of that.
All right. Win quietly or celebrate loudly?
I used to be a win quietly person. Now I celebrate loudly because of the journey and the testimony that's behind it. People need to know what you've been through and how you've overcome so that they see themselves in you and know it's possible. So I'm about celebrating loudly. Why not?
Right.
We work hard.
Yeah. They got championship rings and belts for a reason.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Right. So celebrate loudly.
All right. So the name of this show is Another 24.
Yep.
And the reason why it's called Another 24 is because that's the biggest blessing that we can get. It's another day, another day to like chase your dream or, continue down a path, hug your family, start a new path, whatever you want to do. It's the one thing everybody on earth can agree on. We don't agree on much, but we can all agree that we want another day to live, right?
Yes.
So there is a young lady somewhere. She's watching everything that you're doing. She wants to be just like you. She wants to recreate your success, help other entrepreneurs, so on and so forth. So if you could speak directly to this young lady and give her some words of encouragement, some words of advice to help her through her next 24, if you could just look at that camera and give her 30 seconds or so of some inspiration and motivation.
Yes, I would love to. So come here. Come sit at TV. The words I would give that little girl that's out there that wants to aspire to more would be two things. One, give yourself grace. You don't have to have it all figured out, right? You don't. A lot of times we put so much pressure on ourselves because we're trying to be this, we're trying to be that, we're looking around us. But you can't use somebody else's map to find your way. So you've got to focus and give yourself grace on today. And then the other thing I would do is remind that little girl that there's a reason why she is who she is. There's a reason why she's been through whatever experiences she's been through. And it is not just for yourself, but it's for other people. And so the sooner you tap into your purpose, the sooner you tap into why you are who you are and what you've been through is a positive thing and operate in that, God does the rest. And so remember those two things. You can't live off of somebody else's map to find your way. And remember all the qualities that make you uniquely beautiful. You is why you're here. Walk boldly in any room because knowing that greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. So that's what I would tell that little girl.
Man, those are some words of encouragement. I was about to shed a thug tear real quick.
Not a thug tear. Here. Yes.
But, Miss Nakeita, thank you so much.
Thank you. I love what you're doing for people here.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Man, congratulations to you, to
Thank
everything
you.
that you're doing. I aspire to be as successful.
You'll be better.
Better. So if you could just let people know where to find you, how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, the best way, my website has everything on there. So www.workwithnakeita, Nakeita.com. Again, work with Nakeita because I want to work with you. Workwithnakeita.com. I'm also on Instagram, work with Nakeita, and then I'm also on LinkedIn, Nakeita Stewart, that has all the professional aspects. So those are the three ways you can find me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for pulling up. This was an amazing conversation.
Yes, it was.
I feel inspired. I was coming in a little low energy, but I'm high energy
Let's
now.
get it.
So thank you again. So
yes.
hey, that's
Cheers.
a wrap.